All right, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trade. Today is Wednesday, July 12th, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, let's get into it today. So, CPI number, basically Goldilocks, right? At least for the market there. And obviously, we got a nice gap up here, gapped up about 1% on the day here for the spiders. Qs, basically the same thing, a little bit over 1%. Still doesn't look like a new closing high is going to happen here for the Qs unless they pump it up here. Actually, well, I take that back here. So 372.85 was the high. And yeah, I guess we will get a closing high. So scratch that. But either way, a little bit less of a move, right? So we kind of slightly pierced double top there on the Qs versus the spiders, which had that kind of outside move. And we've talked about that, how I expect the spiders and kind of XLE, XLF, those types of names to kind of pick up for big tech here. And again, we got that rebalancing setting up. So those stocks still under pressure here. But CPI, so that dropped. Core still at a 30-year high, although it did come down 0.2%. Markets did have a little bit of volatility during the middle of the day. One thing that's a little interesting here, if we look at the futures, you go out to next year, that's a 300-point backwardation there going into June 2024. Little bit strange here. You are still into contango into these months here, but maybe the market's looking at something here. I talked about this on Twitter Spaces yesterday with Josh from Crypto Fundamentals. We said, look, maybe there's something here moving forward where the market's looking at, okay, CPI came down 25%, right? It was at 4.1 last month and it was at 3 this month. It's 25% here. The Fed started hiking 75 basis points in March last year. The last one was, I believe, in November, and then they did 50, 50, 25, 25. So there's still a lot of lag to that. And is the next kind of thing the market's going to look at, is that going to be, wait a minute, is CPI, what if it comes in at 0.5% next month? What if it comes in negative the month after that, right? Is that something the market's going to look at and say, wait a second, maybe it's coming down too fast? It's certainly possible. I don't know if that's really what's going on here. I mean, I don't believe the government number at all. For instance, if you look at crude here, it's gotten quite a bit of a bid, 67 to 76 over the last week or so. That doesn't look like something where inflation's coming in. Whereas the last couple of months, the bulk of the CPI coming down was due to, gas prices coming down. There's a UGA, and that's actually had pretty good bid here over the last couple of weeks. Actually, that's the UGA, but here's gas futures. Either way, it's basically near the highs here on the UGA, and RB's come off the lows. Futures are a little bit different. It's a little skewed there, but either way, if you take the SPR drain out of things, they can only do that for so long. If that's really the only thing, right? Core is still sticky. It's at 4.8 as opposed to 5, still a 30-year high. Is if crude puts in a bottom, which, I don't know, XLE, XOP, OIH, looking pretty solid there. If crude puts in a bottom, does that kind of change things here? Either way, just things to think about. Right now, in the short term, markets still look okay to get to 4,500. It's not that far away. Tomorrow, I think we're a little hourly stretched still. You kind of look at the RSI there on the SPX. Still probably needs to cool off a little bit. Maybe they can pump it up a bit on Friday. I can't rule that out. And there's a chance we could get some forced buying going into kind of July, mid-August. After that, I think you start to run into some issues. Again, like I said, does CPI come down too fast? Does it go the opposite way where, crude starts to really take a bid here and starts to reverse that? Why do I say that? Well, you're going to be going into an area where there's lag effects of the interest rate hikes. Right? We're getting into that sweet spot now. Seasonally, late summer to October is weak. Also, commercial real estate, those loans are going to come to roost here. That repricing is going to come home to roost. So all these kind of things happening kind of late summer. By the way, Jackson Hole too. That will be a thing, obviously, in August. Stuff to look at. Right now, I don't see any issues, though. And again, you could get some forced buying. Maybe you get a push higher, maybe a blow-off move. It's certainly possible here. I think a lot of this was forced buying today. But right now, market's hanging in there, although it did come decently off the highs. On the SPX, we had a little bit of a pretty good dump intraday. Volume upticked a little bit, but we're off the lows. By the way, 44.75, I called that out on Twitter earlier, said it's going to be funny if we close near there. 352, look where we are. Basically closing right where we opened. Those gamma boys, they don't lie. So 0 DTE taking over again. But SPX here, one other little micro thing to watch as we get into 4,500, and that is resistance. Okay, so there's your pivot high. We also hit, before I forget, we also hit a 7.5 retrace. So right in that zone, there's some resistance. We'll watch that. But also, not the greatest, but and sometimes in bull markets it doesn't matter. But you do have, a possible rising wedge here on the SPX. So just something to watch there. If we get up into that area, maybe we pull back. Like I said, maybe we pull back tomorrow. We pump Friday. Then next week we come back in. Again, if we have a corrective move to go back here. Again, there's your kind of upsloping trend line on the SPX. If we break that, then you go down here. So it's pretty simple. But right now, markets are holding up fine, and we'll respect them. Triple Qs here. Again, up 1.25. Let's see. We'll watch that. Pivot high 372.85. We're sitting right there. So we'll see if we close below that. It should be able to take you into the close today, but it's hanging right into that level. Either way, it's holding up okay. Apple did come in a little bit towards the end of the day, though, but overall, tech holding up. Russell 2000, 192, right? So what I've been saying here for weeks, 193.05, that was the high, and we pulled back in. I'm not sure what this wants to do here. May want to come fill the gap, maybe even come down and test 185. That's certainly possible. If it starts to consolidate, then it could possibly put in one more push up, but it did hit weekly resistance. We'll be watching that too. Watch this level on the weekly close, 191.74. Close below that, and you still technically have a weekly inside bar. There's also the 100 MA there. Dow here, that almost went negative at one point. In fact, actually took a little bit of a dump there. So Diamond definitely the weakest out of the bunch. I think UNH is taking a hit. Yeah, that's gonna drag the Dow down 2.5. Healthcare has been under a lot of pressure lately. XLV not really participating much in the rally. It's actually negative for the year. So one of the laggard sectors there, defensive stocks are taking a hit, and that can be one of them. There's UNH there. The Dow is taking a hit, obviously. Again, where did I say we would go? If we got up there, 345, that is resistance. We are pulling back. Again, if we flag or consolidate, it can go through that. But right now, holding up just fine. SMH, that is up nicely, up 2% here. So back above the 151 area. And it doesn't look like that head and shoulder will play out. We'll leave that trend line there anyway, because it's still a trend line that we could watch. Obviously, next level is that double top there on the daily. No real issues. For the semis right now, IGV into double top. That still has weekly resistance there. I don't really see it. I could be wrong, but I don't see it getting through that right now. There's just too much here. Big red bar, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just really a couple months. There's really like a whole quarter, right, worth of resistance there, and we've only been consolidating for a few weeks. We're also still a little extended, so I just don't see IGV having that much upside right now, but it's holding up again, so we'll just leave it at that. Dow Transport's red for once, hitting 16,000. So no confirmation above double top. We closed it above it yesterday, but no secondary close, and not being able to get above yesterday's high. But either way, it is a little stretch here. Again, remember, airline stocks starting to kick off earnings with banks this weekend, or I should say early this weekend. Early tomorrow, Friday, whatever it is, whatever. You guys know what I'm trying to say. So we could get one more pop here, but I think they are a little stretch. I mean, like Delta, that's, a little overdone here. Maybe, gaps up to 50 here, but I think it'd be about done there. United, that's had a nice run. JetBlue, if I can spell it right. JetBlue's had a nice pop, and Southwest, which is a dog, that's had a huge reversal there. That is into some resistance as well. But either way, again, transport's hanging in there. If they pull back, we'll watch and see if they hold this area, and then obviously you have the 20 moving average. Okay, over to interest rates. There we go. So the 2-year, again, pulled back as you'd imagine. Markets are rallying, right? So if you've been watching the videos, you know that's probably the case. But again, you know, losing the 20 moving average. But again, this, you know, trend is still up nicely. Weekly, triple top. If this consolidates, it's going to go higher. I'm in the camp. Interest rates are going higher no matter what. But they are pulling back here today. You see the 5-year down, getting 4.07, basically back testing this area here. 10-year essentially back testing this old trend line, and the 20 moving average, we'll see how that behaves. And then the 30-year here, back below 4%, but nothing terrible. You still have an ascending triangle there. I can show you that on the TYX right there. So nice ascending triangle, a little bit of a fake out there in a double top, but plenty of space for a higher low. XHB, surprise, XHB is green. Again, big surge here, a little overbought, 3-bar surge there, going into some weekly chart resistance, but again, trend is up. Can't say there's any problems right now. ITB, new all-time high, no problems there. Still a little overbought, but trend is still up. VNQ gapping up with everything else. And where did it go? 86.50. Didn't quite get to 87 there. It's coming back in a little bit. We'll see. Can this back test 84 and hold it? So that's been the big question. It's been trying to do that for a while. We'll see if it holds it as support. Then maybe it has a little bit of legs here. We'll reevaluate it if and when that happens here. But VNQ, a little golf clap for finally getting above that level. XLF again gapping up. Again, lots of bank earnings coming into play soon, so maybe some short covering going on there as well. Said 34.50 would be some resistance. It did pull back off of that. Still technically, you know, still has that weekly bear look though, so just be aware of that. I'm not a fan of the fins. Doesn't mean they can't go higher. I just would not really look to own them here. KRE up 2% on the day, although it did come off the highs. Where did it go? Just shy of 44. That's resistance. KBE went up to, we got all the way up to 38 and then came back in. Again, pivot. I don't know. Maybe, you know, maybe it's an inverse, right? Shoulder, head, right shoulder. Hasn't triggered yet. Could be, though. It would take a lot to, I mean, I don't know what, you know, maybe short covering. I don't know how it would trigger, what the catalyst would be, but it's there. So we'll just watch it. Broker dealers, XBD holding up. Where did it go? Just shy of 490. That's still resistance there. All right, we talked about crude a little bit. That's still uptick. That can still get to this trend line. We'll say 77.25, 200 moving average there. Nothing's changed. Be very interested to see how crude trades in the coming months here, as markets are set to close here. And there's the bell. So again, we'll take a look back at that again. Triple Qs, 3 cents below that double top. So interesting look there. But either way, yeah. So crude could still get to 77.25. Interesting move off the lows. If this continues higher and starts to rip, I don't know so much about that inflation narrative. Anyways, XLE here up 1%, stalling out at the 200 moving average. Still got to get above 85.08 on a weekly close, but it's shaping up much better now. XOP also shaping up better into the 200 moving average, pulling back as well. We said 135 the other day. That's where it went and pulled back. OIH continues to be a powerhouse. This is into weekly resistance. I know I'm saying that, but it is. So upside here should be a little bit limited. You're going into a lot of resistance. Bull flag, red bar, that's where you broke down. It should stall out there, but you did have a failed move, right? If you go back to the weekly, you closed above that red bar. That's an bearish inside bar. You close above that, it's failed. So I have a bull bias on it. I just wouldn't chase it into that resistance level. All right, nat gas pulled back a little bit here. That's still holding up. Oh, by the way, hit the tape. Warren Buffett jumping on an LNG project now. So again, what have I been telling you guys for months? They're not going to wait for inventory numbers to improve. Smart money's not going to wait for inventory numbers to improve for nat gas to start rallying. I don't know about you, but I think Warren Buffett is smart money. So that is, you know, something to watch there. A little kind of a, you know, stuck in a little bit of a channel here intraday or on the daily, setting up for a move higher. So either way, dollar index, that took a big whack down to 150. So 101.50 did not hold. And basically we're at new lows. I think this can probably get down to 98 if we look on the weekly. That is your 200 moving average, and you've got a decent amount of support in that area. So if this 100 psychological level breaks and we don't get a save, that's probably where it's going to want to go here moving forward. So dollar continuing weakness. Again, euro's been very strong lately. That puts pressure on the DXY, and obviously the CPI number being the headline, putting more pressure on it as well. Gold here getting a nice bid. So precious metals had a nice pop, up 1.34. 1970 is going to be resistance on the daily. You got the 50 MA right there. There's also kind of this chop fest where you broke down. So right in that area should be resistance. We'll see how it reacts. Silver with a big move up 4.5%. So that got through 24. We talked about that as resistance, and it blew through that on volume. I'll be watching this for pattern here. But nice pop there for silver. Thought it would get down to 21. It still can, but it's holding up really well. We'll have to watch for pattern here. If you reject it, then we'll look at it. But if this goes sideways, it may want to go higher here. So silver, nice pop. Platinum getting through the 20 MA and back testing 960. I'm not convinced on this one yet, but it did have a good bid here. And then palladium also getting a micro pop, but nothing great. Just 2.75% up. Still below all four major moving averages, so nothing too great there. And then copper getting a nice bid up 2.34. I thought inflation was gone. Copper up 2.34% on the day. Still thinking that has one more push down, but right now it's holding up okay. All right, lastly, Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin's kind of on the softer side still, 30,400 right now. It's not broken. Again, everything's fine. Still should get to 32.5 to 33. But interesting not seeing it pump up here, and it's really not behaving with the rest of those, with the rest of the equity markets. Again, looking at some of the Bitcoin equities, Mara gapping up, coming down, Riot gapping up, coming down, MSTR. So maybe these things need to come, pull back a little bit, but right now, Bitcoin not pumping up with those. I don't know if it's a head fake or what, but right now the pattern is fine. Anyways, back to the spiders here. So again, look for 4,500, maybe Friday. I think tomorrow hourly, we're just really overbought. We need to cool off a little bit more. But that's the level we're watching. Obviously there, we did hit the 7.5 retrace today. And then there's your pivot high. If we do start to correct and pull back, again, there's your upsloping trend line. Pretty simple there. That's your first level. Anyways, guys, gonna wrap up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow.